Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Ondas holdings. It is time for another update, and I have done some changes here within this area since the previous video, and we will go through those in a moment. But before we get there, I would like to go quickly through the larger time frame for any of you who might be new. And here we are basically still at the moment in an all-time downtrend. Although, yeah, we seem to be heading towards an area where we may achieve a new all-time high and basically remove any significant pressure that could be considered from this initial downtrend. Now, within this uptrend, we unfortunately only have a three-wave structure to the upside initially, which doesn't necessarily allow us to track an impulse to the upside, and we have a couple of scenarios that we can realistically track. Firstly, we have the yellow interpretation, in which this would be a wave 1 up in an ABC structure again, yeah, then a wave 2 bottom, and then we would expect to form a third wave to the upside within this area. Now, the thing with this structure, this interpretation, is that we would expect to form a sooner rather than later larger leading diagonal to the upside, yeah. In this interpretation, we would need actually to form an ABC structure within the wave 3, an ABC structure afterwards in a wave 4, and then an ABC structure afterwards in a fifth wave to the upside. Whereas in the white interpretation, we are prepared to form a larger 5-wave move to the upside within this area, which would actually force us to be tracking an ABC movement to the upside, which could be a larger full pattern that could lead even to new lows. But yeah, of course, it could be a wave 1 in of itself, but then it would be the start of an even larger 5-wave move to the upside within a leading diagonal. Now, of course, even if we form here a 5-wave move to the upside, we could be tracking this as an A wave up, although based on how large it already is, I would expect to form a top within this wave 3 sooner rather than later. But we will be patient. We will allow such an interpretation still to stay with us on the sidelines, not necessarily on the chart, on the focus, and at least not now. And within this structure to the upside at the moment, we are only really tracking the idea in white, the interpretation that would be tracking a 5-wave move to the upside in a wave C, as honestly there is no clear structure in which this could form a clear ABC movement or something like this to allow a more significant top within the yellow scenario at the moment. For that, we may need to break here some of the white interpretation areas of support, although yeah, it might more rather likely than not still follow through in the white scenario, even if we are in the yellow interpretation at the moment. Now, in the white scenario, we are tracking a movement to the upside where we have a wave 1 complete, a wave 2 complete, and within the wave 3, by the way, we are tracking a diagonal structure here. Within the wave 3, we are looking here at an A wave up, B wave down, and the C wave to the upside. And this is where I did some of the changes. I believe the structure fits better within this idea. And in this interpretation, we would actually still prefer to form an additional high within the wave 3. Now, it is fully possible that this third wave has stopped, and we need to be prepared for a much larger correction within the wave 4 before we discard the possibility of continuation afterwards in a fifth wave. But right now, I'm watching here for continuation within this wave 3. The area of support for the wave 4 at the levels between the $7.5 all the way down to the $3.6 level. Where as long as we hold this area of support, this wave 3 should still be able to extend. Now, just to give you an idea, if we are to fail holding this area of support, we would need to resume to a top within the wave 3 and look for a larger correction in the wave 4, and then the area of support would overlap significantly with the white interpretation, the other interpretation where we have an extension within the wave 3, but it would need to be allowed to extend all the way down to the 61.8% retracement of itself, the $2 level instead, where a break even below that, well, that would be quite difficult to honestly place within a healthy scenario, and we will get to that if it really occurs. But right now, yeah, it might be something like an ABC structure that might need to be tracked, although again, it would be, or not again, that would be a very unreliable setup, a very unreliable scenario. We wouldn't have any indication that this structure should be expected to follow through. Now, with that said, we won't be keeping all of this on the chart. It is just clutter. We will be, however, keeping the last level of support that we can allow for this wave 4 correction, and we are going to focus here internally on this fifth wave to the upside, where even within this movement, even within this wave C, I am actually tracking a diagonal pattern in of itself. Now, it is actually fully possible that the wave 1, that actually the A wave top here, and then the B wave bottomed here, and then the wave 1 started here, doesn't change a thing about the area of support or our expectations we are tracking, and we are going to track the same pattern anyway. And in this area, I would actually argue that even though very ugly, we formed a potential initial 5-wave move to the upside, we may be able to watch out here for an area of support for a potential A-B movement that could allow us to start a wave C to the upside. Now, before that, I want to also show you that here we had a potential A wave down, and we could have a B wave up that could allow a C wave down for an extension here within the wave 4. And within such an idea, we pushed here quite perfectly into the resistance, the 78.6% retracement, the last level of resistance before having our more significant rejection. And we will keep this in mind because, yeah, here in the orange scenario, we will track a possible extension within this pattern, a possible extension within the wave 4 that we are tracking here in the white interpretation. Now, in this fifth wave to the upside, we are looking again for an ABC structure, since we are looking for a diagonal pattern overall to be developing within the wave C. And for this, we have an area of support that we can track here internally at the levels between the $7.6 all the way down to the $5.7 level. So far, we have pushed here perfectly initially within this sharp decline into the first level of support. We had a decent reaction to the upside, although surely it wasn't enough, and we seem to be extending further still. Now, within this pattern to the downside, I am allowing any type of correction. Honestly, the wave B could be taking basically any form of corrections it wants. Yeah, it could be a triangle, it could be a WXY. Not worth it going through all the possibilities, but right now I am considering a possible ABC movement that could unfold, and it's not necessary. This could be an A wave itself. We could have here a B wave up. Yeah, this probably even fits better, and then a C wave that could occur to the downside in this case. And sure, let's track this idea. This allows for an early completion. However, I will need, after this movement is complete, a signal, a break above certain resistance levels, and for it not to be too long, but a break above certain resistance levels for a signal that something more bearish is not going on. Yeah, that could be something we could track here in the orange interpretation instead, where we have here an ABC or even a 1, 2, 3 instead. Now, in this case, assuming this pattern, we are looking here for an ideal target for the wave C at 100% extension of the wave A, which is around the $6.6 level. Yeah, but keep in mind, it does need to get there, and it doesn't need to stop there. That is just an ideal target for the wave C. Now, within this structure to the downside, it is still early to tell, but yeah, the momentum seems to be increasing already. So within the wave C, we are always looking for a 5-wave structure. The 5-wave move could be a diagonal pattern in of itself, but it could also be an impulse, and right now there is nothing stopping us from tracking a potential double 1, 2, 1, 2, and the third wave that could be unfolding within this area within an impulse. And in that case, yeah, we would expect even internally within the wave 3 a 5-wave move to the downside, but of course we won't be focusing on that too much. Instead, it is probably best to give it some time and focus from the larger area perspective, and wait for more structure to develop and allow us to determine when we should expect a bottom within this wave C. Because yeah, sure, once the momentum starts cooling down, we start forming a more significant low, we get a larger correction, we may notice we have a wave 4, and then we would expect a 5th wave to form a more significant bottom. But for now, there isn't much to be working with within this area. And yeah, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.